There really isn't anything much better than suppressed 9mm with a great silencer. Only round quieter is 22, and let's face it, there are just so many fantastic firearms chambered in 9mm, especially pistol caliber carbines or subguns. We've been very fortunate to review some phenomenal 9mm silencers over the years, and I always want to tell you about great ones when I find them, and the Resilient RS9 definitely belongs in that group. The RS9 was designed specifically from the ground up to work best on pistol caliber carbines, PCCs, or subguns, specifically to minimize first round pop, port pop, or the sound that's coming out of the ejection port, and lower back pressure on these platforms, while maintaining a low weight as to not add much bulk to the weapon system. If you haven't heard of Resilient suppressors before, they've been quietly making some of the highest quality cans for a couple years now, and they really shook up the scene when the RS9 came out and posted some extremely impressive numbers on Pew Science. There is no denying it, the RS9 is silly, stupid, quiet, which basically confirms what Pew Science said. He just used a lot of bigger, fancier words to say it. The RS9 has a couple fairly unique features to achieve that sound performance, and while I'm not an engineer, I can point out some things that are unique about this can, which I feel contribute to its astonishing performance. First off, you'll immediately notice there are two different diameters to the can, and it is much larger towards the rear. This creates a much larger blast chamber to trap gases right as they come out of the barrel before they get forced into the narrower section of the silencer. The can as a whole is very reminiscent of Russian AK silencers like the PBS-1 and probably more familiar to US shooters, the Dead Air Wolverine. This can was designed with the Kalashnikov USA KP9 in mind, which is basically a clone of the Russian Russia's pistol caliber carbine. But it does work very well with any and all pistol caliber carbines, and we ran it on many during this review with very impressive results on all platforms. Resilient is also making efforts to control how that gas is presented into that large blast chamber. The Resilient direct thread mount has an elongated section that goes into the blast chamber and has holes in a radial pattern. This does a few things. It works like a sacrificial blast baffle while also presenting the gases into the larger blast chamber in a very specific manner. Can I definitively say this is the key to what makes the RS9 so quiet? Not exactly, but I can say those are some unique features, and this can is very, very quiet. Along with being one of the quietest 9mm silencers we've ever tested, the RS9 is also rated for 300 blackout subsonic, which we tested and found it to be very effective. It's also stupid quiet on 38 Special. It is also capable of 357 Magnum and 350 Legend, but we didn't get to try either of those calibers. Of interest to us, the RS9 is also rated to do subsonic 8.6 blackout, and we of course did try that out. The RS9 does extremely well on 8.6 black and actually did very well on our 8.6 silencer showdown video, being put up against other cans seeing what was the quietest 8.6 silencer. The diameter of the RS9 is 1.7 inches in the rear and then tapers off to 1.37 inches towards the muzzle. It is 7 inches long and weighs in at only 12.5 ounces, which is really light. The weight is at the point you will barely notice it at the end of your gun, and much lighter than many of the other pistol caliber carbine specific cans available. There are standard hub threads in the rear, making this silencer extremely versatile for attaching to almost anything you can come up with. It will work with Rearden, Dead Air, Plan B, JMac, basically any mounting solution you like to use, this silencer should be able to adapt to it. Also, I'd like to point out, if you are a big fan of the Kalashnikov KP9, along with controlling the gas flow, the Resilient direct thread adapter also has these notches in the back that will align with the retaining pin on that gun, which is a nice feature because if you own one, you know that it's kind of hard getting a silencer perfectly mounted on a KP9. The RS9 is also completely serviceable, not something you see in many of the newer 9mm cans, but you can take the baffles out and clean them to greatly increase the life of the suppressor. Well, that's about enough of me babbling on. I think it's time to let you hear it for yourselves. The Resilient RS9 is an amazing suppressor, and I hope it came through in that test. This is possibly the best PCC specific silencer we've ever tested. This is just an all-around great performing can. It sounds great, it's lightweight, has a decent number of calibers that it will work with, and especially if you have a KP9, it has some features that will work well with that particular firearm. But really, if you're just looking to suppress any subgun, this should be on your short list for consideration. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because as always we have some really big reviews in the works that you won't want to miss. If you want to know what those reviews are way before they hit the YouTube channel, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, where you can see what's being reviewed in real time. And by the way, check the links in the description. There you can find some cool stuff that I found and the best deals on it. If you want to help support Alabama Arsenal, the absolute best way to do that is through Patreon. These videos can be surprisingly expensive to make, and every little bit helps and is greatly appreciated. There is also Alabama Arsenal gear available right below the video if you want to go out and represent. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching.